by saying we have got royalty in the house. There's a chance I may use the word reverend more than once today. High probability that I use the word reverend more than once today. So hey, we just had the summer solstice, so I thought I would bring a couple of summer jokes. You ready for a couple of summer jokes? Where do sharks go on vacation? Sharks go to Finland. I didn't say they were good jokes. Where do math teachers go on vacation? Times Square. Where do ghosts like to boat on vacation? Lake Erie. What does brown Harry who wears sunglasses? A coconut on vacation. Mike? I turned it off. My mistake. Sorry. Thank you, Lisa. She keeps me honest back there. And finally,
Green light on?
the red light's on.
We want the green light.
I'll just talk real loud. Finally, what?
You have to turn that one on.
Finally, why didn't the son go to college? He already had 1 million degrees. And with that, let's all stand and sing as we come together.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I love you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, in every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of the love of each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of
Now is the time when we light the Christ candle, and we take this moment to acknowledge our Christ candle and celebrate the Christ within each of us, knowing we are divine expressions of God. quick story. And I'm telling this story because it lets me use the word reverend a few times, right? So yesterday, Colleen and I woke up, and she said, let's go to breakfast. And she gave me a choice. We can go to Waffle House, First Watch, or Cracker Barrel. I said, let's go to Cracker Barrel. After that, she said, when we finish breakfast, let's swing by the church. We got to set some tables up, make sure the signs changed, all that. So we decided to eat at the Cracker Barrel up here, which we've never done before. We finished breakfast, and sitting right behind us is Reverend Lisa and Reverend Helen, who's probably getting the food ready. So we had a nice chat. I'd never met her before. The two of them had never eaten in that Cracker Barrel. So in the house today, we have Reverend Sue, who was our associate pastor. We have Reverend Cindy, who was our pastor. And the two of them had the weighty responsibility of ushering us through those COVID years. And they did a marvelous job, so thanks to both. So, Reverend Lisa. An intro to Reverend Lisa, then she's going to come up and do the opening prayer. Reverend Lisa Davis grew up in Unity with a grandmother in Unity and a mother who was a Unity minister. Reverend Lisa moved to Dayton in 1980, attending Unity of Dayton for over 25 years, serving as YOU sponsor, youth education director, licensed Unity teacher, and then was ordained in 1998. From 1998 until 2006, she was minister here at Unity of Dayton. In 2006, she and her daughters moved to be with family in Oregon. Reverend Lisa has been serving at Unity of Portland since 2007 as senior minister. And I'm thinking Dan Studebaker and you see each other all the time? Yeah, he's happy. That's good. Her special service in Unity has been in supporting the international expansion of Unity. She began working with Reverend Helen in the many Unity churches in Nigeria while she was at Unity of Dayton. Currently, one of the programs is sending 55 Unity girls in Nigeria to school for high school, which supports them in getting their education and in helping them move into living more empowered lives. Reverend Lisa holds degrees in counseling and religion from Ottawa University and ministry from Unity Institute. When she's not attending to her congregation at large, Reverend Lisa is spending time with her two daughters and extended family, traveling, reading, and exploring the journey of God. Unity of Dayton, let's give a warm welcome back.
That's the line? Okay. Wow. All I can say is I got to step back into a space that has been loved and blessed and filled by so many of you for so long. And so we're going to begin with an opening prayer. Now, I haven't been in this space in 17 years, so I've been crying the whole time. But my commitment is to show up as authentically as I'm able, and right now, it may be wet. It's just where life is. And I have a feeling a few of you have been through some bumps and some stuff that you say, how did we get to this place? What's happening here? How do I fix this? And wherever you've been in this the last 2 weeks even, and you've been outside of your heart space, I invite you to move into your heart space. We have an evolutionary impulse that moves through us, that opens our hearts. And right now, the call is to open our hearts. So we're going to begin this service in prayer, from hearts open, knowing that as we do that, we become one presence, one power. And so, from this place, Mother, Father God, infinite Spirit, we open. We say yes to the movement of that Spirit as us this day. And all of the stuff, all of that stuff, we allow to fall away. For we know that there is a mighty purpose and a plan for our lives, for this time in humanity and for every being around the globe. We hold a deeper understanding, a freedom that is continuing to evolve within every one of us. And we say yes to the love that we are, the life that desires to vibrate through us, and to the sacred path we walk this day. And as we gather, we simply say yes. Yes to the essence. Yes to the vibration of spirit. Yes to the God in us. And so it is. Amen. It's just wonderful to have all of you here. I can't tell you how much my life has been interwoven with this community and with so many opportunities. And I did write an affirmation. I wrote it while I was in the middle of a workshop. Someone said, "We have to have an affirmation." So this is what I wrote, and I'm just going to invite you to take it in and then find out how it vibrates in you. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth flowing through me now. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth flowing through me now. Every cell in my body vibrates with the eternal knowing that I am enough. Now, I have a feeling it may be up on that wall, and if it is, I'm going to invite all of us to say it together. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth flowing through me now. Every cell in my body vibrates with the eternal knowing that I am enough. And we just hold that and know that for ourselves and for every being. All right, and am I supposed to take all this down?
Do we have any visitors in the house here for the first time? We have one in the back. I think a good third of the faces out there I've never seen before. We got a lot of guests, not guests, we got a lot of family here in the house today, so we're grateful for all of you. So we have restored a tradition we had back before COVID. Back before COVID, we would rise and we would greet each other and give each other big hugs. So we're going to do that now. If you don't want to be hugged, just give a nice namaste to the person next to you. So let's greet each other. Let's all stand and sing One Great Power.
There's just one power we all can share. One great power everywhere. One great power, one great love. Big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer. One great power everywhere. There's one great power everywhere. There is just one presence. There is just one spark. Burning in our souls like a candle in the dark. There is just one chorus we all can sing. One great power, let it ring. We're so present. One great power, one great love. Big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer. One great power everywhere. There is one great power everywhere. God, you can do this. One great power, do it. One great power. 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 One great power everywhere. There is just one presence. There is just one light shining in the world like a beacon in the night. There is just one power we all can share. One great power everywhere. One great power, one great love. Big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer. One great power everywhere. One great power everywhere. One great power everywhere.
Music team. Please be seated. Okay, time for announcements. Or not. You're invited to stay after the service today for a meet and greet lunch with our guest speaker today, Reverend Lisa and Reverend Cindy and Reverend Sue. And because of this potluck today, we have moved Reiki Sunday to next week, July 9th. Eden Foster, my precious daughter, will also be here to add her singing crystal bowls to the Reiki circle. Our newly formed community service team has selected its first project to cook dinner for the families staying at the Ronald McDonald House near the new Dayton Children's Hospital. We're going to do this on Saturday, July 29th. We need a team of 10 people, and if you're interested, come see Greg Foster, and we'll get going. So we're excited about that. On Friday, July 14th, let's all gather in the backyard and have a wiener roast in a campfire. Bring wieners or your meat of choice and a dish to share. Bring a lawn chair and a musical instrument if you play one, and we'll sit around the campfire and have a sing-along. Bring your family and friends too. Our Unity Balls of Fire choir will be singing on July 30th, and rehearsals start on Thursday, July 13th. Unity Balls of Fire choir is open to anyone who loves to sing, and it's important that you're able to attend all 3 Thursday rehearsals. Saturday, July 14th, join Reverend Sharon in a workshop where you will create your own spirit doll. More information on this in the lobby. Sunday, July 15th at 12:30 after the service, you can learn how to use aromatherapy essential oils in a workshop with Patty McCormick. See, Patty, is that now? Yeah, here's, no, not your kid. And that's that's it. There's more announcements in your bulletin, so lots of good, fun stuff going on around here today. And now let's all stand and sing in honor of the 4th of July, My Country is Even if my guidance surprises me, I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel called to go. I heed the still small voice within and pay particular attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, now let's all prepare for meditation.
No. the knowing. As we continue to relax into our chairs, recognizing that we are always held in the infinite arms of Spirit, there is a knowing that moves through us now. I am filled with the inner knowing of Spirit. I open to the cellular remembering that I am one with God. As close as hands and feet, as close as this breath, the vibration moves through me now, and I relax in the silence, saying yes to that movement, that remembering of Spirit in the silence. And with that place of remembering comes a knowing how with every breath I am filled. In every moment I can return to this vibration. I can remember it, and I can allow it to move through me now, as I know that I am, holds me now. And I allow gratitude, pure gratitude, to flow through me, saying, thank you, infinite Spirit. And so it is. There is more in this place than a breath that's flowing. Take my hand, let's be still sure that was the wisest thing I ever did, but I requested that. Now, me and my Kleenex may come here, but that's okay. The grand design. Anybody wonder what happened to the grand design? Anybody been feeling lately like maybe it ran away a little bit? Does anybody, so far we don't have, okay, we have one person in the room. So the design has gotten a little interesting, hasn't it? This idea of a grand design and that we're all a part of it is something that I keep looking at and I keep saying, where do I fit within that? And I want to just start by talking a little bit. The title that I chose for today is The Path I Cannot See, which is probably, I don't know if it's up on there or not. I'm not used to this yet. I'll have to reach around and see. But the path I cannot see. Normally, on this day, I realized I would have come with a wonderful freedom message. I did for years. And yet, maybe, just maybe, our freedom is going to come from the path we cannot see. The freedom that is within our souls and our hearts, and that evolutionary impulse continues to guide us towards, is there. The path I cannot see was actually the last message I did 17 years ago in this community. And of 25 years in ministry, I don't know that I remember any title other than that one. The path I cannot see. And for those of you, I'm just going to share a little bit of my story, which you lovingly did, Greg, and I'm so grateful. But just for those of you who don't know who I am and wonder what in the world this lady is doing hugging somebody, which I'm so glad to see you, young man. Some of the beings, I got the joy of seeing them grow up. And I got to be with them on sleepovers and all kinds of things as a YOU sponsor. So you have different views of different beings, and my heart was so close. But for me, my journey really became a path I could not see. It's tough to say, but life has things that knock us off our feet. And we wonder who we are and where we are to go within them. For me, I left on the early in January of 2006. In 2005, I both got to, my husband chose death by suicide early in the year. And I know for many of you, he was your doctor, he was part of your life, he was a part of so much. We also had a board president, Myra Robinson, who made her transition 6 weeks later. And my father made his transition a few months later. And so in my world, my daughters were 3 and 5. I got to get quiet and say, what is mine to do? And so as I got quiet, there wasn't an answer. And I remember thinking, there's a path I cannot see. How do I hold all the things I'm called to hold and heal? And so I made the decision to actually leave, and I apologize for bringing tears, but I just want us all to know that life heals us, and it lifts us when we have the courage to, and I'm not saying I had the courage, but I at least wasn't going to stop walking. I knew, there's a path we cannot see. And what I think is so interesting is right now we are in a path we cannot see, asking for the evolution within this country. We're asking for a picture that allows a larger story. And our lives are asking for that. Individually, we're being asked for this path. And I believe every community, every church that I know of is being asked for the same thing. How do we, on this path we cannot see, how do we take the next step, and what is it? And so I moved to Portland, Oregon, and I lived 2/10 of a mile from my youngest sister, and the 2 kids are the same age as mine. And my daughters now are 21 and 23. We had a lot of guesses at 15 and 17. They are 21 and 23. And hopefully someday they will come with me. They would love to, but at this point, I just decided this is good. We're doing good here. And then I actually I was done with ministry. I knew that I could not do all that needed to be done, and I spent a year healing. The ministry we were attending, the minister decided to retire, and he said, "You're it." And I said, "I'm not it. I'm not doing ministry. I love you." And interestingly enough, that ministry had a lot of difficulties, and no one else applied, other than my mother. And I wouldn't hire my mother without me because she was older than the minister that was retiring. As my mom says, "Lisa," it's like, okay, I guess I am. And I stood up saying, I'm just going to be me. I'm going to say what's going on in me. And I think all of us are that do any good worrying about what's happening, what's in front of us, or what's anywhere. What we got to do is open up our hearts and say every one of us is in our perfect place at the perfect time. And sometimes that's hard to say. And everything that is in our lives will work together for good to the extent that we allow it. A place where we just simply tear open hearts and say, I'm going to stand here. So when I looked at that, and I thought, what does that mean? You know, every one of us gets to open to a path that we cannot see. When I left, very few people had that path. We knew what was happening in our country. We knew a lot of us had, you know, I know what's happening in my life. I know where I'm going. I know what's happening. And my experience right now is that just about everybody has shifts that are major. And is that possibly this evolution that we've been praying for and asking for? Everything that needs to be healed comes to the light. Now we get to be the ones to find a larger story. Because the evolution of the planet and our consciousness happens through us. I used to think if I could just show up and pray and do what's mine to do, it'd happen out there. And it'd be nice and pretty. And life would just, you know, you practice prosperity and it all flows perfect. What's fascinating is that the universe continues to grow through us. What was it, in the 13th century, Rumi said, you are the universe becoming aware of itself. You are the universe. At the point that you are, that each of us is, we are the universe expanding as us, moving as us. And a lot of times we say, no, I don't want this to happen. I'm afraid of this. This can't happen. We can't be in this place. And let me tell you, I did some battles. I can't say it was an easy journey. I had never lived alone. I moved into a house. And I'm like, oh my, I had at that point a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a house. And a dog that we took with us that just about didn't make it on the plane because he was so big. So we had a huge yellow lab. And I kept thinking, what am I going to do with this? And my girls started in the Waldorf school, which was right down the road, and I knew there was an order. But let me tell you, we have to do the healing. What took years was learning to honor choices of other beings for me. And all of us are learning to take a journey that sometimes we say, they can't do this, and they can't do that, and they can't do that. What I'm finding is that the expansion happens through us when we are willing to breathe in the midst of what's happening and know there's a larger story. And it desires to come through us. And I can't say that I was a very willing participant for a while because I didn't know the next step. But the first thing we have to do on that path we cannot see is we have to connect to the presence and power in us. You know, I believe right now the number one evolution that is being required of us in this country is to know that we are one with the infinite. The old message of you are a sinner. And I can remember driving from my house, and I don't even know where it is anymore other than way over there. I know the street name, and that's about it. I don't think I'd recognize anything. To hear, there were 9 churches with signs that talked about, one of them had you in the dirt, and another one had, and it's not them out there. You can't live in this country. I was raised in unity, and that old idea of not being enough. Anybody have that in their heart? That's the evolution we're being asked. That's the first one. To change an idea, but what's fascinating is we can't change it out there. It happens in here. And when we allow ourselves to recognize the sacred presence in us, which is what Jesus did. There's a lot of stuff going on, but Jesus recognized, I am one with his presence. And that's the message. And you are one with his presence. That's the evolution that's being asked of us. And we think of all this stuff happening. But when we take that first step and say, I am one with the infinite, it vibrates in my cells. It reminds me of who I am. And every time that voice that says, no, you're not, or what are you thinking, or
or look what happened to you, or all your parts aren't in the same place when they last saw you. You know, there's a lot of messages that can come through. There's a lot of them. And we either believe those and allow ourselves to be in a smaller place where we begin to know I'm one with you. That means I'm carried through whatever it is that's in front of me, even if it looks like life is going like this. It begins to recreate itself, and really, there isn't any recreation. It was in the process of creation. It didn't stop. Evolution always continues forward. Now, we can watch the news, and we can say, how can you say that? I don't know what is necessary for us to get to the next place collectively, because we have evolution happening right now. For the first time I've seen it, we are being asked for individual evolution, collective evolution, and global evolution. So instead of holding two hands out, you're holding a third, and it's your heart. And we get to balance all of those. We are a part of the collective evolution, we're a part of the global evolution, and we are still holding that space of individual just movement of spirit and the ability for the universe to know itself as us, which means we have to know ourselves as one with God, with the infinite, with life. And let me tell you, if we will allow that step on the toughest parts of our lives, it will heal us. It will make us deeper. When I started ministry again in 2007, I only spoke every other week for 3 years, simply, which was a blessing, because that was about all I could handle. I stood up there and cried, and I just said, this is me, this is where I'm going, these are the things I'm learning, and where are we going to go with that? And sometimes that's what life requires, because in order to evolve individually, I find that we have to connect with each other. We have to find a way to look for a larger story together. And that can be tough. But we're the creation of it. And where two or more are gathered, when we create energy here, something happens. Something larger comes forth, and there's a movement that happens. And Doug, I'm probably making your job really hard because I keep moving all over the place. Okay. In Portland, I'm not allowed to move. I don't do that very often, so it doesn't work usually, but that's okay. But we have to find that out. You know, they said that during the pandemic, one of the interesting things is that brains actually atrophy in the area that connects. And that we have to make ourselves go out and recreate that part of our brain. But what it also did was somewhere in there, people became more aware of the need to connect. Now, quantum physics shows us we're already a part of one field. The way I look at God is that God is an energy field, a quantum field, that we live and move and have our being within. And we are all created from that field. So you and I, every one of us is created from that field, and here somebody else has told us, you're out there and you don't belong. But the truth is we do, because we're a part of that. And so beginning to anchor ourselves in that field is one of the steps we can take. And then beginning to recognize I belong. The next step I would say is I belong. I belong to the field, I belong to humanity, I belong to all that is happening. I'm not outside of what it is. But so often, the only way the old brain used to evolve was we had to have categories. And that's leaving, and it brings a lot of fear. Anybody had any fear? We're losing our categories. We are losing, okay, we have one person. It's this movement. And we have to recognize those are falling away. And they're doing so because the next evolution is one that recognizes the interconnectedness and the value of every being. And what unity principles show is that every being has that essence. Every one of us. Every one of us. And when we can hold that space, we begin recreating a humanity from an unknowing, an inner knowing. I belong. How different would your life be if we had known from birth, I am a creation of spirit and I belong. I belong in this place, at this time, and sometimes I would look at my life, and I'd say, how did I get here? I bought a house I'd never seen in Portland, Oregon, in the city I'd actually never been to. And I sometimes I looked and I was like, wow, this is mine. Okay, let's keep going. What do we do? Honestly, when I came back and landed, was that last night? No, Friday night, I had debated about whether, I kept thinking, what have I done? Months ago, when there wasn't a minister, and I'm so grateful you all have Sharon Renee. I think it's wonderful. You can thank her for that. It's so important to allow something larger to be created. And sometimes it is this unknown. We got to live, by the way, another thing, you got to be willing to live in the unknown. We have to be comfortable with that unknown. But anyway, I landed, I'm thinking, what am I doing? They have a minister now. They don't need me. What am I doing? And I realized finally I was coming back. All the crazy stuff. I came back because my daughters wanted to come, and then the trip got canceled, and all these things. And I had said yes to coming. And finally, I got really clear. And I thought, I just got to know how much I've healed. So I landed, my plane was hours later than it was supposed to be, and I had to rush over there, and at 12:15 they gave me a rental car. After midnight, I was like, thank you God, I didn't know where I was going, but all these pieces just flooded me. Of the last time I left, of what was happening, all of that. And I thought, that's how we meet life. This is how we live our journey. And so I just got in that car. I prayed, first of all, that I recognized anything. And I was driving around on roads that I knew. I was like, I used to live somewhere over here. I used to live somewhere over here. I had to get a hotel room, and I didn't realize that Taylor Swift had a concert in Cincinnati. And I got one of the last rooms in this whole section of hotels, and there were lines everywhere. But when I got quiet, something said, book ahead. I'm like, book ahead? I'm only 6 miles away. Well, if I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten in. You know, it's those things. We have to stand in those. But what it allowed me to do as I was driving, I just started thinking, I know this. And I personally, I do a meditation with the 12 powers. And I started with I am faith. I am the faith of the universe. This universe moves through me. I am will. Will guides me, it directs me. I will find the inner presence and power. I am understanding. It's a whole, you know, it's the idea of finding the power in us. And right now, right where we are, every one of us is being asked to find the power of the universe, the vibration of spirit in us, as us, and to have the courage to know that it is us. It created us. It loves us right where we are. And there's nothing of all the outer stuff that can take that away. I've gotten to walk. I want to finish this, but I also want to go into just a little bit. I have a couple slides from building bridges. I want to share. They're not of my daughters. I wish I had. I didn't even think of that, if you want to know the truth. I was still just praying I would have a message to give, and that it would have some meaning. But what I have found is that life healed me. I speak at a level that I had never spoken at, I don't believe, before, when I allowed myself to walk into the places that scare me. And I think life's requiring that. I don't know anybody being asked to go into some place that in the past has held them, and now they're being asked to stand within it and allow it to express through them. And I am in a community I adore. I'm in a place I love. I'm so grateful to be there. And when I walked back in here, I realized how much of my heart was here and what an honor it is to be here. I want to thank you. Some of the work that I've gotten to do, by the way, Phyllis was in my church, and I got to Oregon, and I walked in, and there is Phyllis up singing. You may not have even met her yet, but she has moved back to Ohio. So she is here, and it's just people, wonderful people, and the families, and the creation that we have. You know, Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home. That is our job right now in humanity. And one of the places that I believe Unity of Dayton has played a significant role that you may or may not even understand is that when I began ministry here, one of my prayers was, what can I do to serve in the larger Unity movement? Helen Aware showed up Was it that? I think that very same Sunday, Reverend Heaven, yes. And by the way, welcome Reverend Gloria. We're happy to have you here also. So we have a lot of beautiful beings in this room. But I wanted to say that Helen told me that what was needed were books. And so Helen and I and Unity of Dayton worked to get books to Nigeria, to do different things. And then that program has continued to go. What I want you all to know is that the foundational piece of that program is a Unity minister, Reverend Amos Kalu. And can we show those? Can we show those pictures? I wanted you to see. Oh, this is my youngest daughter, Lauren, standing next to me, and this is this January in where was I? New York City. I actually flew to see Reverend Amos. You may not. This is who Unity of Dayton has been tithing to since probably 1998. Reverend Amos, and this is his wife, Reverend Naomi Kalu, who is just a sacred being. Reverend Amos, when we started, there were 55 Unity churches in Nigeria, and they had no support from the Unity movement in, I don't even know how many decades. And we began just saying, well, what do you need? What do you need? And we began sending books. We figured out the person who kept that movement alive was Reverend Amos. He is the one that was responsible for the publication of Daily Word in Nigeria. And I can't tell you how important that little book is in Nigeria. You may use Daily Word, you may not, but for them, I had people who said they learned to read with the Daily Word. That was it, and one of them was an 80-year-old man. When I had the opportunity to go to Nigeria in 2010, I guess that's when I went. Helen knows. And it was just a wonderful, he has been that rock. He also runs Silent Unity in Nigeria. And so for that foundation, now they're beginning to ordain ministers. Helen works with a program that, they're not ordaining, Helen has created a program where the Unity movement is beginning to sponsor ministers to get their training, just to get the books, just to get the schooling. But all of that came from this being. I just want you all to know, you may not think you've had much of a part in this. If Reverend Amos wasn't that foundation, I don't know what in Unity Church Nigeria would be there. So please know what you do every month changes lives. He was here because he needed medical care, and I heard about it, and I actually, since my mother passed, one of the things I promised myself was to do things that were important to me, and I flew to New York in the middle of January, who knows why, as far as weather goes, to just hug that man. So there's a couple more pictures of he and I, but that's, and from there, yeah, so there's Amos and Naomi, and they're just these lights that Naomi works. And then this, I want you to see, from this has stemmed the program. These are, Helen, this is the children's conference, isn't it? This is the children's conference that happens in Uzuokoli, Nigeria. These are just some of the youth, and it's not the high schoolers. This is the children's conference that happens in Unity. And then from there, so it's fabulous. These are some of the young girls that are going to school with these scholarships. And these are girls that instead of getting married at 13 or 14, they go to high school and they finish. And this 3-year scholarship is a huge shift. None of that could have been in place if Reverend Amos wasn't that anchor that has continued to lead that. So I just want you to see just some of these, the women's, and this is one of them, and it's so they get their scholarships, they'll get them coming in the fall. The women's convention, I have a great desire to go back. If you could see the dancing that happens with hundreds of women coming together, the difference that the Unity message brings, and I think it has for our world, is that every being has the Christ, the divine within them. That message means that all of those Unity families want their girls to go to school. They can't always afford it, but they want it to. And so I just want to come and say thank you to Unity of Dayton for now the decades that this community has supported something that's so much do that. And for all of you, there is a path you cannot see. And there is a path we cannot see. But they are sacred. They are living in you. And I just invite you to breathe in that evolutionary impulse that will introduce it to you one breath at a time.
Reverend Lisa, everybody. I would now like to ask our ushers to come forward for our tithing. And if you all would repeat with me the offering blessing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Gratitude for me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful. Gratitude for me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm 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 so grateful.
And if I could ask Olivia to come forward, and Reverend Lisa, if you would bless our offering.
We just take this moment to say thank you, Infinite Spirit, for these gifts. We know that they move forth and they vibrate through this ministry as Union Dating opens to that sacred path, to the revolution and the evolution of all that is the movement of spirit that says yes, yes, yes. We are so blessed by these gifts and by the abundance of spirit that lives in and through and as us now. And so it is. Amen.
So it was a little over a year ago that Reverend Sue and Reverend Cindy retired. And when they did, we all just kind of looked at each other like, okay, now what? There was a path we didn't see. We weren't even sure there was a path. We're like, what do we do now? We were averaging about 20 to 25 people on a given Sunday, and we've been growing steadily since then. We were averaging 50 or so around Christmas time. We hit a high water mark at Easter of over 80 people, and it looks like today we hit another high water mark. Yes, we're sitting around the side, so we're grateful for it.
I apologize, I'm just butting in. One of the things, many of you never knew me when I came. I met my husband in Union Village. I was 19. I moved to this place called Dayton, Ohio. And my mom said, well, just go in and check in with the Union Church. Now, I love Betty DeTurk. You know Betty. And I went home, I was like, Mom, I can't attend there. She yells at people sometimes. She would get so mad. And my mom said, you are going for principle, not personality. And she said, I'm not talking to you about anything going on in your life unless you are sitting in there getting principle. And do you know, that was the greatest gift she gave me, because every single time I went, I got a fullness of spirit, a message that was for me, regardless of what else went on. And so I just invite you to recognize that part of learning to gather together is this. How do we come together and hold a larger story? And I'll be quiet. But I just invite you, and that's what I did in Portland. I went, okay, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to learn, and I always do.
Thank you. So we've been growing, but that's not enough. We have our next evolution has to come. We are in the process of manifesting children, little kids. We used to have a big full nursery back there in the back, and the kids would parade down the center aisle. They would have their craft with them, their little crown or their picture they had, and they just brought a new level of energy. So we're in the process now of manifesting children. I'm going to sit down here with my kids all around me here, and we're going to sing to them, "You Are Walking in the Light."
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Now let's say our children's blessing together.
We love you, we bless you, we behold the Christ in you, and we love you just the way you are, one with God.
And now for the big finish. Let's all stand and sing "Now There's Peace on Earth."
Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as the power, then we all are free. Now I walk with my family in perfect harmony. Peace has begun with me, and this is the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me.
And our prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And just when you think it can't get any better, you have a feast waiting for you back there, a hot one. Thanks, everybody. Have a great long weekend, 4th of July, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.